Now, of course, to start the yoga, many things had to come together. You are sort of ripe to do yoga, but there have to be also pretexts to start yoga. Some cause some little accidental incidents or whatever it is, they are needed to get going on the path of yoga. Now, in the case of Savitri, the pretext to do the yoga was Narad. He was the cause for her to get going on the path of yoga. In the Indian tradition, we could say that Narad had initiated Savitri on the path of yoga. Initiated. What is called in Sanskrit, he gave her Diksha. Diksha, initiation. One who gives Diksha, he is called Dikshit. So that way, Narad is the Dikshita to give Savitri the word of yoga. Now, he does it in a very different kind of manner. It is not that he goes and utters a word in the ear of Savitri, come on, Savitri, start your yoga. Not that. He tells straight away what Savitri is here for, what work she has to do, that she has to get prepared to carry out that work. Narad comes exactly 1 hour before the arrival of Savitri to the palace. He is already there in the palace before Savitri returns after meeting Satyavan in the Shalva forest. Savitri has discovered love in the forest. She has met Satyavan. They have pledged to be together. Now, in order to confirm that pledge, even in the face of the greatest adversary, something has got to be done. Savitri has met love. Savitri must meet death also. Savitri must meet death also. And therefore, one of the most important proclamations he makes is 1 year after their marriage, Satyavan must die. That is what we have here. 12 swift-winged months are given to him and her. This day returning, Satyavan must die. This day returning, the day on which he makes that proclamation, that moment, everything is already fixed. This day returning, Satyavan must die. Now, Narada is very emphatic. He says that he must die. He doesn't say he will die. He doesn't say that 1 year after their marriage, Satyavan will die. He doesn't say that. It is immaterial whether he lives or dies. But then he says he must die. In that must die, the entire mystery of Savitri's mission is locked. Savitri's work is locked in that particular single phrase, must die. In fact, that is how we have at the very beginning of Savitri, epic Savitri, in the very first canto, the last line, 341st line, this was the day when Satyavan must die. The poet proclaims about the day. Now that day coincides with the day of Nara's utterance, Nara's proclamation. You see. Actually, throughout the epic, we kind of keep on constantly listening this tolling bell. Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die, Satyavan must die. It constantly kind of keeps on pealing in our ears. Must die. Actually, in one of their conversations, after Shivandu's accident, his disciple used to sit around him for a short time in the evening, and they used to talk about all kinds of things. And on one occasion, Purani had asked Shivandu about the tale of Savitri, and in the course of his answer, he said that, but Satyavan has to die. He used the phrase, he has to die. That has to die is exactly the same thing, Satyavan must die. When he is telling it to Purani, he will say has to die. When he is writing as an epic, he will say Satyavan must die. So the significance of this must is the one which one has to see its connotations, its relationships, its consequences. All these things have got to be connected with the mission of Savitri. Why he must die? Because Savitri has met love. Savitri, in order to fulfill her life's mission, must also meet death. Meeting death is an imperative, is an inseparable aspect of her life's mission, meeting death. And therefore, she must meet death. Meet death in what way? Death is a god. Savitri, in her original form, is the immortal goddess. So it is not that they are going to meet elsewhere in the cosmos. The occult meeting is already arranged on earth. Death must come down on earth. Love must come down on earth. And Savitri should also come down on earth. And so to say, Savitri should meet death face to face. Face to face. That is important. It is not that the battle is fought between Savitri and death in the occult. It is fought on the earth. Earth and doom and love, these are the important characters in the story of Savitri. It has to happen on earth. Therefore, Savitri takes the mortal birth. Therefore, Satyavan also takes the mortal birth. Death appears in the physical form, touches the ground, picks up the soul of Satyavan and starts walking away. All these things have to happen on earth. Earth, the mortal world, Mrityu Loka. As the Sanskrit phrase is, earth is the Mrityu Loka. Mrityu Loka is the place for continuous progress. It is here on earth that the continuous progress is possible, not in heaven, not in any other plane, vital, physical, but it has to be here only on earth. That is the greatness of this Mrityuloka. Therefore, the death is connected with this continuous progress on earth. Must die, it means that there is something coming in the way of this progress, and that has to get eliminated if the progress has to continue further. That is the basic logic, so to say, of the whole event, of the episode. Therefore, when Narad comes and says that this day returning Satyavan must die, what he has actually done is he has sown the seed of yoga in the soul of Savitri. Something suddenly now got awakened in her. Something seized in her. Yes, I had to now prepare myself for this particular moment. Prepare myself. That is the yoga. She has to do yoga for that purpose. Now, why she has to do yoga? She is, of course, Divine Savitri. Why does she need to do yoga? Because whatever has to be done, whatever has to be accomplished in this mortal world, not up there. She has to take the human birth, through the human process, through the human growth, human evolution. She has to take things forward, carry them forward. And that can be done only by yoga. And therefore, Savitri has to do yoga in that context, you see. Now, that also makes it very clear. Why should Savitri do yoga? For what purpose she must do yoga? Why? Because she has to gather the divine force in her soul to meet the challenge of death. For that purpose, she must do the yoga. For what purpose? By removing death from the process to open out the path for future growth, future manifestation, for new possibility of the spirit to enter into this creation. That is the purpose of that thing. So in that sense, it is very epochal. In fact, the story of Savitri begins with that. The narration of Savitri begins with that. The epic begins with that. This was the hour before the gods awake. All these things happened before the gods awake. Across the path of the divine event, the huge foreboding mind of night, alone in her unlit temple of eternity, lay stretched immobile upon silent Samaj. This mind of night is lying across the path of the divine event. This mind of night is the physical obstructing the entry of the higher power and light. And that mind of night here is embodied in the figure of death. It is he who has to go away. Unless he goes away, the path cannot be opened out. So right in the beginning, the story tells us what is the whole epic about. This is happening and it has to go away. And it was ever before the gods awake. Gods awake. These are the gods of the supramental world. They cannot come here as long as death is present. They cannot enter into this creation as long as death is present. In order that they come here and do their work, first death has to go away. Therefore, Savitri's work is now going to open out the passage for the entry of those gods who are not operative, transcendental, supramental gods. They are not the cosmic gods, absolutely the supreme gods. If they have to come and work here, death has to go away. Death, who also embodies falsehood. As long as falsehood and death are there, the supramental light and force cannot work here. So if that has to happen, first death has to go away. That is the task of Savitri. That is the fixed mission of Savitri. Remove this god. Remove this mind of night, so that the gods who are asleep, they wake up and take charge of this creation. In order to do such a mighty thing, mighty job, Savitri must do yoga. So that is the raison d'etre for Savitri to do yoga. That also makes it very clear that there is a kind of a specificity in the work Savitri is going to do. Remove death, remove falsehood. Then whatever has to happen will be carried out by those gods who were until now asleep. It was the hour before the gods have. Now the gods have awoken, and Savitri can kind of stay back, and they will do the work now. You see, from that moment onward. You see. So, in order that, so there is that kind of a specificity in Savitri doing the yoga. Actually, there is specificity of yoga for every individual. Each one has to have his own mission, his own intrinsic demand of the soul to achieve something of the spiritual, transcendental in existence here. And he has to strive to achieve that. For that, he has to do that yoga. So each individual has his own basic, intrinsic, specific kind of a yoga. When you say the book of yoga, it does not mean that it is a book of yoga for all of us. It is for Savitri alone, in a sense, you see. Actually, we are already saying that Ashwapati yoga is specific to Ashwapati. His yoga has a specific objective, and he is doing that thing to achieve that objective. What were his objectives? In fact, he had three objectives, Ashwapati. In the context of this mortal creation, if the problem of this mortal creation is to be solved, then he must bring down the divine power here, who will accomplish what is necessary for that to be accomplished. So his task is fixed, to bring down the divine power here upon earth. This is what we are saying in the adoration of the Divine Mother. He is pursuing the unknowable to bring down from the unknowable the transcendental Mahashakti, so that she does the work here. Now, she does the work here, all right, but what kind of work she will do? Ashwapati is summoning her down, but what is she supposed to do? I mean, it's not a vague statement. She has to be given a specific kind of a task. Come down is not enough. What is she supposed to do? For that purpose, he has already established in the transcendent, in Satchidananda, the new creation. The new creation which must manifest here. He has already established the whole new world there, and it has to be brought down here. So his task is to establish that new world. In the context of that new world, he has to now summon her and say, look, it is ready here now, you please make it manifest here. Make it manifest here. So that is the task. Now, in order that she comes here, he has to also prepare the ground, the base, the support, adhara. See, she is a dynamic divine force and there has to be a solid support, otherwise everything will crumble, crush. If she starts walking on this one, it will get pressed down, you see. There has to be solid foundations and support. So he is yoga sadhana, tracing all the cosmic worlds, plane after plane is climbing. Ashwapati is climbing plane after plane. He is not climbing here as a traveler, as a tourist, seeing all the different aspects of this world and creation. Every place he goes, in every world he goes, he is leaving behind him the divine presence. He goes to the vital world, he leaves his presence in the vital world. He goes to the mental world, he leaves his presence in the mental world. He goes to the spiritual place, he leaves his presence, the divine presence. In other words, he is preparing the whole world for her coming down here and walking on this earth. Straight. Then only she can walk. So that becomes the support for her to come down. So in that sense, again, there is that specificity of Ashwapati's yoga. To create a new world, to bring down the divine power, to see that the foundation is ready for her work. So his yoga is tailored, devised for that particular purpose. Same way, Savitri's yoga is also designed, tailored, is specific for a given purpose. Now we have to discover ourselves what is it I am going to do. I have to find out myself. What is my mission? I have to discover myself and then do the yoga. So it begins with that, you see. माँ करेगी वो नहीं चलता. See, it's not like that. Mother will do everything. You have to discover yourself and then do all things. See, that is important. So this is important to realize that it is Savitri's yoga, and therefore whatever we are going to see in whatever little manner possible for us, we will be seeing it as her yogic siddhis, accomplishments, realizations. Savitri's realizations, they are her realizations. When Savitri had grown up into full maidenhood and no suitor was coming to claim her hand in marriage, her father, Ashwapati, was, so to say, concerned about this girl. She has grown fully now. In manner of a story, he had a concern now to find a proper mate for her. But Ashwapati is a yogi. He goes in meditation and there he received the command, the adesh, the word. And then he tells to Savitri, his daughter, young daughter, Savitri, go forth in this wide world and find your life's partner. He is waiting for you somewhere in this world. In fact, these lines are very beautiful. We'll read some of them. 98.53. In fact, we can read from the previous line. 5.2. Yeah. Ashwapati is telling to his daughter, then shall you grow like vibrant kindred harps. He and her lover, one in the beats of difference and delight, responsive in divine and equal strains, discovering new notes of the eternal theme. So, one force shall be your mover and your guide. One light shall be around you and within, hand in strong hand, confront heaven's question, life. Challenge the ordeal or the immense disguise. Ascend from nature to divinity's heights. Face the high gods, crowned with felicity. Then meet a greater God, thyself beyond time. Now, this is what Ashwapati is telling to his daughter. It's a very powerful advice, injunction to Savitri. See, he is telling both. Hand in strong hand, confront heaven's question. That is your mission. What is heaven's question to life? Life, you are there, but you are accompanied by death all the while. That is the question. All the while. Challenge the ordeal or the immense disguise. That is the question. Challenge the ordeal or the immense disguise. He is basically telling, look, life is there, but life is also meeting death constantly. God or whosoever you call me, he has put on the disguise, and it is that which may be challenged. Challenge the ordeal or the immense disguise. In other words, Ashwapati, as a yogi, already knows what Savitri is supposed to do in her life. She has to meet the question of life. She has to challenge death, who is accompanying life all the while, and do her work in the company of her lover. For that purpose, she has to discover lover. Ascend from nature to divinity's heights. Now, she has taken the human birth, so from human nature, she has to ascend to her divinity's heights. Now, this is something which is in a way telling Savitri, Savitri, do yoga. In a way, it is telling Savitri, Savitri, do yoga, you see, to put it sort of crudely. To divinity's side, face the high gods, the challenge of all these cosmic powers, crowned with felicity. They are gods of joy. Face them. But that is not sufficient. Then meet a greater God, not the cosmic gods, but the supracosmic God, but the transcendental God, the Supreme Himself. Rise from your nature to the divinity's height, meet the Supreme Himself. He is already charting out what she has to do. Meet the Supreme Himself. Now, who is that Supreme? Thyself beyond time. That is the high God, Supreme, he has to meet. Now here, he is not telling, he is not disclosing how she is going to meet the Supreme. That will happen only by going through the passage of death. Savitri vanquishes death, cuts the door through the void, and goes to Sachidananda. Even there, she sees again death in the transformed form, transfigured form there. And then she challenges him again. And then behind that death, she sees the Supreme. That is the high God. That is the made a greater God, the Supreme. Now, that whole trajectory of her moving forward to the Supreme and meeting the Supreme, why should she meet Supreme? Because it is He who is going to give her the boon of new manifestation, of new life, of new work here. How she is going to meet that Supreme? Only through the door of death. Only through the door of death. The door of death is the death of her lover. That is what is actually implied in these lines here. Now, he has given a kind of a picture of what Savitri has to do. That does not really tell at this point that Savitri has to start doing yoga. What it tells us is that word of Yogi Ashwapati has sunk in her soul in order to discover love. And it is through the discovery of love she is going to meet death. And then, after vanquishing death, she will ascend to the greater God. To the greater God. So there is a kind of a consistency in all these descriptions in Savitri. Wherever you open, you find that they are all interconnected in a way, you see. But Savitri's yoga begins, as I said, with the utterance of Narad. Narad comes 1 hour before Savitri's arrival and then later on tells that Satyavan has to die, etc., etc. And then finally, what does it say? Toward the end, Narad tells Savitri's mother, even if he seems to leave her to her lone strength, even though all falters and falls and sees an end, and the heart fails, and only our death and night, God-given, her strength can battle against doom. Even on a brink where death alone seems close, and no human strength can hinder or can help. Well, that is obvious. God-given her strength. Now, she has to acquire that strength, God-given strength. She has to acquire. Yes, she is there. The strength is there, but she has to acquire. How is she going to acquire? She has to do yoga. Again, coming back to that point, God-given strength. Yes, she has come with that strength, but she has taken a human birth. Why she has to do yoga? Because Narad is also cautious in telling that God-given her strength can battle. It doesn't say will battle. He doesn't say will battle. Because Savitri has not yet at this point of time, has not done the yoga to gather the divine force in her soul. When she gathers that, then God-given her strength will battle against doom. When the yoga is done, the line will be rewritten. And then Narad tells to Savitri's mother, the human soul, think not to intercede with the hidden will. Savitri has come with that Adesh of the hidden will. Narad knows the will. It is not hidden for him, but it is hidden for Savitri at this point. At this point, it is hidden for Savitri. In order to see it again, she has to prepare herself to see what that hidden will is there. She has to prepare yogically to see that hidden will. See, intrude not twixt her spirit and its force. Its force of the will, of the hidden will. Don't come in the way, see, but leave her to her mighty self and fate. Leave her to her mighty self. That is the assurance Narad is giving to Savitri's mother. Yes, hers is a mighty self, and that mighty self will know how to conquer death, how to meet fate. It is that certitude which is expressing in that mighty self. Savitri is not aware at the moment about her mighty self. She has to become aware of her mighty self. When she becomes aware of her mighty self, then she can meet fate. Then she can meet fate. So, we are already prepared all through why Savitri has to do yoga. The joy of union, the ordeal or the foreknowledge of death, and a heart's grief. Now, before we begin this, let me give you some statistics of the Book of Yoga. In the Book of Yoga, there are, of course, 7 cantos. The book, 7th book, 7 cantos. In all, there are 3,169 lines. In the Book of Yoga, 3,169 lines. This is the second longest book of Savitri. Second longest book of Savitri. The longest book is, of course, the book of the Traveler's World, book 2. 7th book comes after that. The third longest is the first book, the Book of Beginning, 5 cantos. There are in all 7 cantos, 3,169 lines, and 19 sections. In this book, in all 19 sections. Now, I will give you a quick run through of these things. Sections running from 114, where we are, section 114, to section 132, 19 sections. In the first section, there are 19 sentences and 111 lines. In this canto, 111 lines. And in the second section, there are 50 sentences and 207 lines of the first canto. The second canto has again two sections, 116 and 117, and the lines are sentences are 29 and 93. corresponding lines are 112 and 361. Total number of lines is 3169. Total number of sentences is 786. 786. In other words, on average, you have about 4.2 lines per sentence. Each sentence, on average, has 4 sentences, 4 lines.
Yeah. I know that you enjoy it, but can you explain what is the importance of this mathematic knowledge?
Mathematic knowledge?
Of the number of sentences. I know you enjoy it, but is there any magic discovery in this? Or
Yeah, it is.
Is it
You
voluntary?
do see certain relationships of that kind. They are important. Yeah. See, I mean, on average, in the whole of Savitri, you see that each sentence has 4 lines. On average, whole of Savitri. 4 lines. In other words, from the poetic point of view, the general tendency of the inspiration is to fall into a 4-line pattern. That is how the inspiration flows automatically. It goes with variations to avoid monotony, so to say, to build up tempos of different kind. And on average, you see that there are 4 lines per sentence throughout Savitri. And 4 is a unit of completeness, square, perfection.
What is the square?
Square.
Yeah, but what is it? Square?
Square, perfection.
For example, for
Superminus.
No, it's not my question. What is the square in this sentence?
4 lines.
So symbolic. Supermind, exactly. Not only that, it also means stability, firmness, support, firmness, support, completeness. Well, let us at least now begin with the first line. Fate followed her, forcing a beautiful road. Now, actually, this is a very simple line. No? Fate followed her, forcing a beautiful road. But I tell you, these are the most complex lines, most difficult lines in Savitri. Most difficult lines in Savitri. Fate followed her force. Now, her stands for whom? Fate or Savitri?
I don't know. It's up to you to tell us.
Both.
Or Savitri? She both. Yeah. Yeah. Fate followed her forcing. See, it depends on how you read it. Fate followed her forcing a beautiful road. So it is Savitri who is making fate go along her road. Savitri is going to shape her fate. Fate followed her forcing a beautiful road. Then again, forcing by whom? No. Was it foreseen by fate herself? or was it foreseen by Savitri or foreseen by Narad? By Narad. But that road was foreseen by Narad. This is what we have seen earlier.
Exactly. Now I have seen. That's why we call it fate, because it means something already written, foreseen by somebody. I don't know.
Well, actually, as we know the story, it was foreseen by Narad. It is decreed that he must die. This must follow. Now, that knowledge is there already foreseen by Narad. Now, was that foreseen by Narad already foreseen by fate?
Narad foresaw that the fate was like this. Narad could see the fate. It's like
Yeah.
He didn't do.
He didn't make
do
it.
He didn't make
No,
it.
he didn't make the fate, but he saw it.
I mean, Narad was clever enough, good enough to see what fate is foreseeing. He had that eye. He didn't know. Yeah. In other words, actually, it is not Narad who is instrumental in bringing about this fate. Somebody else, something else. You see. Narad is only a messenger. He is the carrier of the word. He has a certain knowledge, he is communicating, conveying it to someone. He has taken trouble to communicate, give that knowledge to somebody. He is open enough to see what is happening around, and then he does this kind of a thing. You see. Foreseen. Now, again, immutable.
It cannot be. But fate is something fixed and not fixed. Sometimes it's
Fate
fixed,
is
sometimes
fate can be changed.
and it can be changed. It
It
can
can be also.
Yes.
Exactly.
Here, no.
Yes. But here it is immutable road. Now, this immutable, of course, cannot be by Narad. It is a much higher power than Narad. It has to be there. In other words, there is a kind of a transcendental determinism in this particular incidence. There is a determinism. This must happen, must happen, must happen, must happen. Transcendental determinism is fixed already there. And it has to follow this course. It has to move along this line. It has to take this road. Now, fate followed her foreseen, immutable road. Foreseen, you see, I can understand, you forget about immutable. Foreseen road would mean what? Foreseen because Savitri had walked on that road earlier. In the search of her lover, she had taken this road, she had foreseen this road. But she would not know that it is immutable road. She has come here, met Satyavan by chance or whatever to call it. So she has already foreseen that whole road. And now she is coming back to join her husband.
Coming back to Gandhi. Therefore, it is foreseen by Savitri in a good party.
Now, this is a very complex sentence. Yeah.
It would be possible to read fate followed, Savitri is foreseen, immutable road.
Exactly. Very well do that.
Also,
Yeah. Fate follows Savitri is foreseen immutable road.
so fate follows.
Yeah.
It's not Savitri who follows the fate.
Yeah. So it is Savitri who is making fate follow her road. Yeah. That is what that her could stand for fate. It could also stand for Savitri. No, that is the beauty of English poetry. French poetry will not allow that. French poetry is impossible. You see. French poetry is impossible.
In German, very easy saying.
Yes, in French.
No, it's possible because the sentence in French,
Yeah.
we can read it, we can understood also both like you said.
How does it read?
We put le destin suivait son immuable route prévue, but we don't know son, which one? It is fate, destin, or
Savitri.
Savitri. On ne sait pas.
Some means yeah.
Le destin suivait.
Some is wrong.
No, you are right. Son because it's of the fate.
Yeah.
Yes, you are right.
It depends upon the translator.
Now, this is the beauty of this.
That's the beauty of the whole thing. That's the beauty of English. Yeah.
It's very subtle.
Yeah. Yeah. And the poet exploits it fully. The poet exploits it fully. It's very cleverly done and very as if practically consciously done. Yeah. He's keeping hanging. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You see, there is another clever line we have seen earlier also. 101.22.
But the fate in English, it's female.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
The fate is female.
I'm coming to that, yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes in English,
Here, I will use some examples where fate is feminine. Fate is feminine. Yeah. Fate as a power, as a figure, as a person is feminine. Fate as an action is a neutral, it. But fate as a figure, as a person, as an individual character is feminine. Fate is a line, is feminine. She is an operative power entering into things in a decisive way, with a kind of inevitability. The operative power entering into things in a decisive way, with a kind of inevitability that comes from supracosmic certainties. It is the universal principle of ultimate agency by which the order of things presumably prescribed. Let us check the occurrence of fate here. This is what we have seen now. Now, man's fate, it is it. Here are ways of examples, some occurrences where fate is feminine. 103.24. You can open 103.24. Now, here Satyavan is telling to Savitri who he is, whose parents are. In days when yet his sight looked clear on life, Satyavan was able to see everything. He had not become blind by that time. Sorry, Dyumatsena. Once the Salva rained through all the tract which from behind the tops, passing in days of emerald light, in turning converse with the traveller went, turns looking toward the southern heaven, and leans its flank upon the musing hill. But equal fate, he was a king of royalty, but equal fate removed her covering hand. Fate had given him the royalty, the kingdom, everything, but same equal fate also took that thing away from him. Her covering hand. Then there is another example here. Savitri herself tells, death's grip can break our bodies, not our souls. If death take him, I too know how to die. This is what Savitri is telling. Let fate do with me what she will or can. what she will or can. I am stronger than death, etc., etc. And then there is one more here. Yeah. Unwilling to see for the last time a face. In fact, is what we'll see shortly in the same canto. Savitri has come to the forest now. The royal party is also there. They are staying there in the forest for some time and then they are going back. But they are unwilling to go back because of their beloved child they receive. Heavy with the sorrow of a coming day and wondering at the carelessness of fate, who breaks with idle hand her supreme work. Fate who breaks her supreme work. So that way we have a very clear definition of fate as a dynamic operative power, feminine. See. So this line, fate followed her, see, makes it very complex now, see, in that context. See.
So in this case, fate, the Shakti.
Yeah, Shakti. She is a Shakti, she is a power. Yeah. Now, this is a very puzzling line, very rich line. Very rich line. And you can see the difference between this line, fate, and her. See, in the third sentence, his fate with him shapes his acts and rules. Its face. Here, fate is neutral.
The face of whom?
With him.
The face of whom? Of the
See, let me read this second sentence. Man's hopes and longings build the journeying wheels that bear the body of his destiny and lead his blind will towards an unknown goal. And then he says, his fate with him speaks his acts and rule, its face. Immediately you have got fate here as neutral. Neutral.
Because it's the face of the fate or
Of man. Fate of man. It's fate. See, because she is somebody who is not really that power. Circumstances, events, all them occurring, they are becoming fate now here. Its parent is in his secret soul. And then he says, nature and fate compel. In fact, we'll read this thing again. But what I'm trying to tell you here, that you have to see the context of fate as feminine or neutral, depending upon the description.
I know why Shrobendugi put this.
Yeah.
Because Shrobendugi is above the language. It means, in English, the man who, it means the human being.
Yes.
It's used as masculine, like in French. But in Arabic, it's not the same word. There is a word to say who means female and male.
I see.
And he didn't want to put as a man, as a masculine, so he used it. It's my experience.
Yeah, no, it's possible. No, but here it is very clear. I mean, he is talking of absolutely the highest kind of forces which are in operation. Immutable road, forcing road. See, these are things which are of a different dimension altogether. They are not on the human plane. They are not on the human plane. They are not on the human plane at all, you see. So fate is feminine here, absolutely. And we have few other examples also. Equal fate, she took away the gifts. She took away as the operative power. Now this is a kind of an introduction. Why is he giving this introduction to the book of yoga? Fate followed her foreseen immutable road. Man's hopes and longings build journeying wheels that bear the body of his destiny and lead his blind will towards an unknown goal. Now this is the ordinary fate, common man's fate. The circumstances, the event, the operations of the cosmic forces vis-a-vis the individual. So actually he is being led by fate in the case of an ordinary man and lead his blind will towards an unknown goal. He is taken. This is not the case of great souls, accomplished souls, of siddhas. His fate, man's fate, within him shapes his acts and rules. We don't know, but that is how we are being taken. You see, how we come here, we don't know. Somebody has taken charge of us and brought us here. His face and form already are born in him. His parentage is in his secret soul. We are not aware of it, but the secret soul is working secretly and doing certain things in our life. Here, matter seems to mold the body's life. In the case of an ordinary man, you see. And the soul follows where its nature drives. So, soul is led by that thing. In the case of an ordinary man, nature and fate compel his free will choice. In other words, man really doesn't have free will. He really doesn't have free will. Nature and fate compel his choice. We are not aware of it also, see. We think that we like a certain sweet. It is not that I really like it, it is not out of my free will I am using it. It is my nature which is kind of demanding that type of input in my physical system. See. Nature and fate compel his free will choice. But greater spirits, this balance can reverse. Man is compelled by nature and fate, but people who are greater than that, they know how to mold fate and nature. This is of course in the context of Savitri now. And make the soul the artist of its fate. Now this its of course stands for soul. Now this is yes, it is fated that Satyavan must die. It is big. But here is a greater soul who can reverse the balance. In the context of Savitri, there is someone who is greater than fate and make the soul the artist of its fate. Now, it is in order to make the soul the artist of its fate that Savitri has to do yoga. So, you see, he is developing it very logically. Make the soul the artist of its fate. This is the mystic truth our ignorance hides. Doom is a passage for our inborn force. Our ordeal is a hidden spirit's choice. Ananki is our being's own decree. Now he is using the word Ananki, the Greek goddess of fate. She, it makes it very clear. She is carrying the torch.
And in English, I mean in Sanskrit, what is her name?
She is carrying the torch.
What is her name in Sanskrit? Anake. Anake.
Ananki is
Anake.
Sanskrit, what is the word?
This is Greek.
Greek. Yeah, I will show you. I will show you that. In Greek mythology, Ananki is the personification of compelling necessity or ultimate fate to which even the gods must yield. Shivandu writes here, this truth of karma has been always recognized in the East in one form or else in another. But to the Buddhists belongs the credit of having given to it the clearest and fullest universal enunciation and most insistent importance. In the West, too, the idea has constantly recurred, but in external, in fragmentary glimpses, as a recognition of a pragmatic truth of experience. Ananke, or later the mysterious ways of an arbitrary, though no doubt an all-wise providence. There was a, this is the one, that was a notion of the Greeks, a blind fate of inscrutable necessity. This is from Histories in Philosophy. In fact, there are a number of things. I will show you again. Dictionary meanings. Karma, kismat, chance, luck, fate, destiny, doom, fortune. It was Napoleon's fate to be exiled. The word is often lightly used, however. It was my fate to meet her that very afternoon. You see, destiny emphasizes the idea of an unalterable course of events and is often used of a propitious fortune. It was his destiny to save his nation. Doom especially applies to the final ending, always unhappy or terrible, brought about by a destiny or fate. He met his doom bravely, etc. etc. Karma, kismat, chance, daiva, prarabdha. There are a number of, there are different shades. Each one has a shade of meaning. Prarabdha, whatever is ordained for me.
There are different connotations.
Different connotations, that's right, yeah. Prarabdha, daiva, nasib, we call it nasib. Yeah, nasib. Mera nasib aisa hai. Nasib. Yes, I know. Kismat is also there, that's right. In Greek literature, necessity or fate personified. That is why she is Ananki, this person. Personified. In Homer, the personification has not yet occurred, although even the gods admit they are limited in their freedom of action. Ananki is rather prominent in post-Homeric literature and theological speculation, particularly in the mystic cult of Orphism, but is definitely known to emerge into a cult only in Corinth, Greek Corinth, where she was worshipped with Baya, the force, might. Because of her unalterable nature, it was pointless to render to her offering or sacrifice. So she is not going to change. So why sacrifice? Very practical. Nothing is stronger than dread necessity was a Greek byword. Now, in the Mahabharata, there is a very clear statement. Fate, daiva, whatever you want to call it, remains unfulfilled without the individual's participation. Without his participation. So there is a double play there. She is supreme, yet your participation is demanded.